All right. What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lead From Here podcast. I'm Jason. Today, we're going to talk about separating negative impact to a team and negatively impacting your personal preferences, which happens a lot when you kind of get into leadership. Is you kind of get into the spot where most of us in leadership, not certainly not all, but most people in leadership have been in a technical role prior to it, where they were doing some kind of a job that they're now leading. And if you get into a position where you're there, there's going to be things that people do that you maybe don't agree with. Maybe somebody isn't as sharp as you want to be, or maybe somebody's not as detail-oriented as you want to be, or maybe they use words or make decisions different than you'd want it. And it's easy to immediately go, hey, that's not right. You're not doing it right. You need to stop doing it because that's not the right way. And right is a very subjective term when it comes to process and how you're doing things, and honestly, a lot of emotional intelligence type conversations. Right is very vague. So you have to be careful. You have to understand, like, there are things that are very clearly negatively impactful to the team that you can see in a team setting that people are put off by or frustrated by, or they shut down when that happens. And that's something you need to action on. But there's a lot of things that happen that you feel like, this doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, you feel like you need to fix something. But what I'm here to tell you is, if that's just your personal preference and it's actually not negatively impacting the team, you probably don't need to say anything. So this is obviously talking about effective teams. And if you're working with an ineffective team, you need to kind of start playing with things and figuring out how to work on that. We'll talk about that in another episode. But ultimately, we're talking that you have an effective team that's working pretty well. You're seeing something that doesn't quite feel right to you, but you're not hearing it from anybody. You're not seeing it in the data. What do you do? In my experience, and experience of people I've worked with, it's important to make sure that you don't jump to react too quickly. Keep your ear to the ground. I mean, always keep your ear to the ground, but keep your ear to the ground. Look at your metrics. Look at surveys. Look at your one-on-one data. Are people complaining about one of those things? If they're complaining about it, maybe there's something there. Maybe you do. Maybe it's not just you. But don't lead the witness. That's, you get in a question like, hey, that person, they're doing this. It's pretty bad, isn't it? And then people are like, yeah, I think it's bad. Like, because my boss is telling me it's bad, so it must be bad. Don't do that. But definitely ask what's working, ask what's not working, kind of open the door. And if none of the things that are bothering you come up in any of those conversations, probably not a big deal. So it's important to make sure that you're not using your own biases to try and coach somebody to be who you would have been in that scenario, not who they are. Especially if they're finding a way to be effective in their own way and the team isn't bothered by it and they're still an effective team. Like, that's kind of your ultimate barometer, is like, is the team effective? Now, again, you'll hear about it. If it's negative to the team, to an individual on the team, you're going to hear about it. That's what one-on-ones are for. So if you're effectively meeting with those people and you're effectively doing one-on-ones and asking good questions and checking in and making sure you understand what's going on with the metrics and their throughput and all that good stuff, like, if nothing's negative's coming to that, then there's probably nothing to talk about. Let it go. Let your personal preferences be your personal preferences, but you're not that person anymore in this company. You're who you are now. You're leading those people, so let them find their own way to do it, as long as it's healthy and as long as it's successful. It's not easy. It's not easy, because the reason you're a leader is because you were tactical and you were very good at it. So find the balance. Make suggestions, sure. If you're talking to be like, hey, I noticed this. Is there a reason you did that? Because I've done it before like this. Dude, what do you think about that? And if they're like, nah, I like the way I do it, then let it go. Let it go. So that's it. It's a pretty short one today. Hope it's helpful. If you have any questions or want to dive deeper on this, please hit me up on all the social media platforms. Jason at leadfromhere.co. And yeah, I appreciate your time. Take care, everybody.